The Galactic Council's chamber hummed with an energy that seemed to ripple across the gathered species. Representatives from thousands of civilizations filled the expansive hall, their varied forms reflecting the diversity of the galaxy itself. A silence fell as the Council's chief envoy, a towering being of crystalline composition, addressed the assembly. Its voice resonated, not with words but with vibrations that translated into every known language. "Let this be recorded in the annals of galactic history," the envoy declared. "Humanity must remain neutral. To involve them in your conflicts is to risk catastrophe." The room stirred with muted whispers and telepathic exchanges. The warning was unprecedented. The Galactic Council rarely interfered with the internal politics of its member species, let alone issued directives this strong. Yet, the message was clear, and its implications weighed heavily on the room. The KRYTH Dominion's envoy, a reptilian figure clad in shimmering scales, narrowed its eyes. To the KRYTH, humans were an enigma, primitive in technology yet capable of astonishing feats under pressure. Their adaptability bordered on alarming. The KRYTH viewed Earth as a potential foothold for expanding their influence. They would not be dissuaded by vague warnings, especially from a council they barely respected. On the other side of the hall, the Zynar Collective's representative analyzed the situation with calculated precision. The Zynar, a hyper-intelligent species reliant on advanced neural networks, considered humanity a volatile variable. They had studied Earth's history and recognized a troubling pattern: humanity thrived in chaos. Yet, they also saw opportunity. If guided properly, humans could serve as a strategic asset. Both empires listened to the warning, but neither intended to heed it. For humanity, the Council's statement was both a shield and a burden. On Earth, news of the warning spread quickly, triggering a mix of relief and suspicion. To the average citizen, it was proof that humanity had earned a place on the galactic stage. To Earth's leaders, it was a puzzle. Why would the galaxy's most powerful entities go out of their way to protect a species as relatively insignificant as humans? The answer lay in the Council's unspoken fears. Humanity's recent foray into space exploration had been marked by unpredictability. Despite their technological infancy, humans had a knack for innovation under pressure, often finding solutions that defied conventional logic. They had also demonstrated an unsettling capacity for destruction when cornered, a fact the Council could not ignore. As Earth's governments deliberated, factions began to form. Some leaders saw neutrality as a safe path, a way to avoid entanglement in conflicts that could devastate their fledgling presence in the galaxy. Others, however, viewed the KRYTH and Zynar as opportunities. Alien technology could catapult humanity forward by centuries, perhaps even millennia. The lure of advanced weapons, medical breakthroughs, and energy solutions was too tempting for some to resist. The first cracks in humanity's unity appeared subtly. A KRYTH diplomat approached a major Earth power, offering advanced propulsion systems in exchange for quiet alignment. Meanwhile, Zynar agents infiltrated Earth's media networks, spreading subtle propaganda to sow distrust in KRYTH intentions. Earth's nations, already divided by terrestrial politics, began to drift further apart. The Galactic Council observed these developments with growing concern. Their warning had been explicit, but they underestimated the ambition of the rival empires, and humanity's susceptibility to manipulation. The Council's archivists unearthed ancient records of species that had risen too quickly and too recklessly, each time with disastrous consequences. They saw parallels in humanity but dared not intervene further, fearing that direct action might accelerate the very outcomes they sought to prevent. On Earth, scientists worked feverishly to understand the alien technologies that were now slipping into human hands. Small breakthroughs began to surface. A team of engineers reverse-engineered a fragment of Zynar neural tech, creating an AI system that far surpassed anything previously conceived on Earth. Elsewhere, KRYTH propulsion designs inspired innovations in energy efficiency that reshaped Earth's industrial landscape. The pace of advancement was staggering and troubling. In the shadows, both empires intensified their efforts. The KRYTH escalated their offers, hinting at shared dominion over neighboring star systems if humanity joined their cause. The Zynar, in turn, began funding grassroots movements on Earth, positioning themselves as humanity's benevolent allies. The pressure mounted, and the fragile neutrality humanity clung to began to fray. Yet, even as the empires played their games, the unpredictable nature of humanity began to surface. Independent thinkers and renegade scientists, unbound by government oversight, took the alien tech in unexpected directions. A young programmer in a small lab created a prototype AI capable of outmaneuvering Zynar algorithms. A group of engineers in an isolated facility adapted KRYTH propulsion designs into a weapon that could disable starships without a single shot fired. These developments, small as they were, began to ripple outward. The KRYTH and Zynar, initially dismissive of human ingenuity, started to pay closer attention. Reports filtered back to their command centers. Humans were not merely adapting, they were innovating at a pace neither empire had anticipated. What had begun as an opportunity now carried the scent of danger. In a quiet corner of the galaxy, the Galactic Council reviewed the unfolding events with quiet dread. Their warning had not been an idle gesture. It was rooted in the memory of civilizations lost to the hubris of underestimating an emerging power. They had hoped humanity would heed their advice and avoid the path of entanglement. Instead, humanity stood at a crossroads, poised to defy the very empires that sought to control them. The warning had been clear, but the galaxy was beginning to understand a harsh truth: humanity had never been content to remain neutral for long. The KRYTH Dominion's first overt move came as whispers in the corridors of power on Earth. High-ranking diplomats arrived under the guise of trade envoys, presenting tantalizing offers that Earth's leaders could scarcely ignore. Their proposal was simple yet dangerous: exclusive access to KRYTH propulsion technology in exchange for humanity's allegiance. To the KRYTH, this was a calculated risk. Humanity's neutrality was fragile, and tipping them to one side could reshape the balance of the Cold War. The Zynar Collective responded in kind, deploying agents to infiltrate Earth's communications networks. Their tactics were more insidious. They didn't rely on overt offers but instead manipulated public opinion through targeted campaigns. News feeds filled with stories of KRYTH atrocities on distant worlds. Leaked documents, authentic or not, painted the Dominion as ruthless conquerors, eager to exploit humanity. The seeds of mistrust were carefully sown, and soon, factions on Earth began to coalesce around these competing narratives. Within weeks, the cracks in humanity's neutrality became evident. One bloc of nations, enticed by the KRYTH's promises of technological superiority, secretly began negotiations. Another faction, wary of KRYTH intentions and swayed by Zynar propaganda, leaned toward cautious collaboration with the collective. The rest, caught in the middle, struggled to maintain a semblance of balance as they watched the growing rift with alarm. The scientific community became an unintentional battleground. Researchers tasked with studying alien technologies began to divide along ideological lines. Some worked with funding and resources provided by KRYTH-aligned nations, eager to unlock the secrets of advanced propulsion and weaponry. Others, influenced by Zynar-sponsored initiatives, focused on developing defensive technologies and artificial intelligence. The progress was undeniable, but the fragmentation of efforts left humanity vulnerable. In a remote laboratory, a team of scientists made a breakthrough that would have far-reaching consequences. Using fragments of KRYTH designs, they created a prototype for a starship engine capable of interstellar travel. News of the achievement leaked almost immediately, sparking a frenzy of activity among both the KRYTH and Zynar. The Dominion viewed it as a validation of their investment in humanity. The collective saw it as a threat, a clear sign that the KRYTH were gaining the upper hand in the silent tug-of-war over Earth. The Zynar's response was swift and ruthless. A covert operative, embedded in one of Earth's major research hubs, sabotaged a critical KRYTH-backed project. The resulting explosion leveled the facility, killing dozens of scientists and engineers. Publicly, the incident was blamed on a technical failure, but whispers of sabotage spread quickly through Earth's corridors of power. Tensions escalated as accusations flew between the factions, pushing humanity closer to open conflict. In the midst of this chaos, humanity's ingenuity began to shine in unexpected ways. Independent researchers and rogue scientists, operating outside the influence of any government or alien faction, began experimenting with hybrid technologies. They combined elements of KRYTH propulsion systems with Zynar neural networks, creating innovations neither empire had considered. A particularly daring group developed an early warning system capable of detecting starships at a range that rivaled Zynar capabilities. It was a minor achievement by galactic standards, but to humanity, it represented a leap forward. These independent efforts drew the attention of the KRYTH and Zynar, who both underestimated the resourcefulness of humanity's outliers. The Dominion dispatched agents to recruit these rogue innovators, offering wealth and protection in exchange for loyalty. The collective, meanwhile, attempted to co-opt their discoveries, planting subtle suggestions that such technologies could only be fully realized under Zynar guidance. Both empires miscalculated. The rogue scientists, emboldened by their success, began working together in secret, creating a loose network of innovators dedicated to keeping humanity independent. As the empire's influence grew, so did resistance among ordinary humans. Grassroots movements began to take shape, driven by a growing distrust of alien motives. Activists and thinkers rallied around the idea of self-determination, rejecting both KRYTH and Zynar overtures. They recognized that humanity's strength lay not in aligning with one power but in charting its own course. These movements, though small, gained momentum as more people became disillusioned with their government's willingness to bow to alien influence. The Galactic Council, monitoring the situation from afar, grew increasingly alarmed. Their warning had been clear, but the rival empires had ignored it, pushing humanity toward a dangerous precipice. The Council debated whether to intervene, but their options were limited. Direct interference risked alienating both the KRYTH and Zynar, and there was no guarantee humanity would welcome their involvement. For now, they chose to watch, their concerns deepening with every new development. The turning point came when a KRYTH envoy overplayed its hand. Emboldened by their apparent success in swaying key Earth leaders, they issued an ultimatum: full alliance, or risk being deemed an enemy of the Dominion. The threat, delivered in a private meeting with Earth's top officials, was intended to intimidate. Instead, it sparked outrage. Even the KRYTH-aligned faction balked at the idea of submission, recognizing the danger of becoming a puppet state. The Zynar seized the opportunity to exploit the fallout. Their propaganda machine went into overdrive, painting the KRYTH as oppressors and positioning the collective as humanity's only true ally. The tactic worked, temporarily. However, as Zynar influence deepened, their true intentions began to surface. Leaked documents revealed plans to integrate Earth into the collective as a subordinate species, stripping humanity of its independence. The revelation ignited a wave of anger across the planet, uniting factions that had been at odds for months. For the first time since the crisis began, humanity began to push back. Scientists, activists, and military leaders came together in an unprecedented display of unity. They shared resources and information, pooling their knowledge to counter the alien influence. Small victories began to accumulate. A Zynar spy network was exposed and dismantled. A KRYTH supply ship, carrying critical resources for their operations on Earth, was intercepted using hybrid technology developed by the rogue scientists. Each success strengthened humanity's resolve and undermined the Empire's confidence. The KRYTH and Zynar, realizing their strategies were faltering, intensified their efforts. The KRYTH launched a covert operation to sabotage Earth's nascent space fleet, while the Zynar attempted to disrupt critical communication networks. Both missions failed, thwarted by the very humans they had underestimated. It was becoming clear that humanity was no longer a passive player in the galactic game. They were learning, adapting, and fighting back. By the end of this phase, humanity stood at a crossroads. The rival empires were growing desperate, their manipulations unraveling in the face of human resilience. The Galactic Council watched with a mix of apprehension and awe as humanity began to assert itself, defying the odds and challenging the very powers that sought to control them. What had started as a struggle for influence was rapidly becoming a battle for survival, and humanity was proving to be a far more formidable opponent than anyone had anticipated. Humanity's first coordinated pushback against alien influence began as a quiet rebellion, born from desperation and ingenuity. Independent scientists and engineers, operating outside the control of Earth's fragmented governments, created a hybrid starship prototype that combined KRYTH propulsion systems with Zynar shielding technology. This unassuming vessel was the spark that would ignite a transformation. Its successful maiden flight demonstrated that humanity was capable of more than survival. It was capable of innovation that rivaled the empires themselves. News of the breakthrough spread like wildfire, uniting factions that had previously been at odds. Earth's governments, recognizing the value of collaboration, established a unified command structure to manage the growing crisis. This council, though hastily formed, brought together the best minds from every nation. For the first time, humanity's technological and strategic efforts were aligned with a common goal: preserving their independence. The Galactic Council's warnings echoed in the background, but neither the KRYTH Dominion nor the Zynar Collective could afford to withdraw now. The Dominion, enraged by humanity's defiance, deployed a small fleet to the outer edges of Earth's solar system, intending to intimidate. The Zynar, more calculating, ramped up their covert operations, attempting to undermine Earth's unity by sowing dissent. Yet humanity proved more resilient than either empire expected. In a bold move, the unified human command sent their prototype starship on a reconnaissance mission to intercept a KRYTH supply convoy. The mission was risky. Earth's forces were still inexperienced, and their technology, though innovative, was untested in combat. But the gamble paid off. The hybrid starship outmaneuvered the KRYTH vessels, disabling their flagship with a precision strike that left the convoy stranded. The captured supplies provided a treasure trove of alien materials and data, fueling further advancements on Earth. This victory marked a turning point. Humanity, once seen as a pawn in a larger game, was now a player capable of shifting the balance of power. The KRYTH Dominion, humiliated by their loss, responded with force, sending a larger fleet to blockade Earth's orbit. The Zynar, unwilling to let the KRYTH gain the upper hand, secretly funneled advanced hacking tools to human factions sympathetic to their cause. These tools allowed Earth's engineers to disable parts of the KRYTH blockade, forcing the Dominion to retreat temporarily. The rapid escalation of events pushed humanity to accelerate their technological development. Scientists worked around the clock, reverse engineering alien artifacts and creating hybrid systems that neither empire could predict. A team of researchers developed a cloaking device that rendered small spacecraft invisible to traditional scanners. Another breakthrough came in the form of modular weapon systems, allowing human ships to adapt to various combat scenarios in real time. These innovations, though crude by galactic standards, gave humanity a strategic edge. On the ground, humanity's ingenuity extended beyond technology. Guerrilla tactics emerged as a cornerstone of resistance. Human operatives, using modified Zynar communication devices, infiltrated KRYTH supply lines, disrupting their logistics with surgical precision. These attacks were not large-scale but were devastatingly effective. KRYTH commanders, accustomed to overwhelming their enemies with sheer force, struggled to counter the unpredictability of human strategies. Meanwhile, the Zynar Collective began to realize that their manipulations had backfired. Humanity's exposure to their neural technology had spurred the creation of a decentralized AI network capable of countering Zynar's propaganda in real time. This AI, dubbed Prometheus by its creators, became a symbol of humanity's refusal to be controlled. It disseminated accurate information across Earth, rallying the population and exposing alien schemes with cold efficiency. The KRYTH and Zynar empires, increasingly frustrated by their inability to dominate humanity, turned on each other. Skirmishes erupted in contested sectors of space, diverting resources away from their campaigns against Earth. This unintentional reprieve allowed humanity to strengthen its defenses and refine its strategies. Human fleets, once piecemeal and vulnerable, became organized and formidable. Pilots and commanders, though inexperienced, learned quickly, turning their lack of conventional training into an advantage. As humanity's confidence grew, so did their ambition. A coalition of engineers and military leaders proposed a daring plan: strike at the KRYTH and Zynar simultaneously. The objective was not to defeat the empires outright but to force them into a stalemate that would buy Earth more time. The plan involved a coordinated series of raids on key KRYTH and Zynar installations, using cloaked ships and guerrilla tactics to maximize impact while minimizing losses. The raids were a resounding success. KRYTH weapons depots were destroyed, crippling their ability to launch sustained offensives. Zynar intelligence hubs were compromised, leaving the collective scrambling to re-establish control over their networks. The attacks demonstrated a level of precision and coordination that neither empire thought humanity capable of achieving. For the first time, the KRYTH and Zynar began to see humanity as a legitimate threat rather than a minor inconvenience. This shift in perception sent shockwaves through the galactic community. Independent species, long wary of the KRYTH and Zynar's dominance, began to take notice of humanity's rise. Small alliances formed, with minor civilizations offering resources and support in exchange for protection or shared technology. Humanity, once isolated and overlooked, was now at the center of a growing coalition of resistance. The Galactic Council, observing these developments, faced a dilemma. Their warnings had gone unheeded, and the situation had spiraled far beyond their control. Humanity's rapid ascent was unprecedented, and their defiance of galactic norms was both inspiring and unsettling. The Council debated whether to intervene directly but ultimately chose to maintain their stance of non-interference, watching as humanity continued to reshape the galactic landscape. By the end of this phase, humanity had transformed from a fractured and inexperienced species into a unified and formidable force. Their hybrid technologies, innovative strategies, and unyielding spirit had not only secured their independence but had also destabilized the balance of power between the KRYTH and Zynar. The empires, once confident in their ability to manipulate humanity, now found themselves on the defensive, grappling with the consequences of their hubris. Humanity was no longer a pawn in the galactic game, it was a force to be reckoned with, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session as reports flooded in from across the galaxy. Humanity's rise had disrupted the precarious balance of power between the KRYTH Dominion and the Zynar Collective, and now, for the first time in centuries, either empire held the upper hand. The Council had warned them, urged restraint, but their advice had been ignored. The consequences were now undeniable. What the Council feared most was unfolding. Humanity had become the fulcrum on which the future of the galaxy now rested. Humanity's unified command, emboldened by recent victories, shifted its strategy from defense to offense. Their goal was not domination but to force the KRYTH and Zynar to recognize Earth's sovereignty. Earth's leaders understood that survival required action, not passivity. Hybrid fleets of starships, cloaked and bristling with advanced weaponry, began targeting critical KRYTH and Zynar infrastructure. These strikes were precise, aimed at crippling the empires without provoking full-scale retaliation. The KRYTH Dominion was the first to falter. Their overconfidence, once their greatest asset, became a liability. They relied on sheer force and centralized command, a structure ill-suited to countering humanity's decentralized and adaptive tactics. KRYTH supply chains crumbled as human forces systematically dismantled key nodes. Their fleets, powerful but inflexible, found themselves outmaneuvered by smaller, faster human vessels. KRYTH commanders, accustomed to overwhelming their enemies, struggled to adapt to an opponent that fought like no other. The Zynar Collective, though more adaptable, faced a different kind of threat. Humanity's decentralized AI systems, led by Prometheus, began infiltrating Zynar networks. These countermeasures exposed Zynar strategies, rendering their covert operations ineffective. Prometheus not only neutralized Zynar influence on Earth but also turned their own technologies against them. Entire Zynar fleets were rerouted into ambushes due to manipulated intelligence. The Collective's greatest strength, their mastery of information, became their Achilles heel. The turning point came during a coordinated human assault on a contested star system. Both KRYTH and Zynar forces had gathered there, vying for control of a key resource hub. Humanity, seemingly outmatched, launched a daring offensive that caught both empires off guard. Using cloaked vessels and innovative tactics, they turned the two fleets against each other. By the time the battle ended, the KRYTH and Zynar were forced to retreat, leaving the system in human hands. This victory, though localized, sent shockwaves through the galaxy. Humanity had not only held its ground but had emerged as a decisive force in a conflict that had raged for centuries. Independent species began to flock to humanity's banner, drawn by their tenacity and ingenuity. Minor civilizations, long overshadowed by the KRYTH and Zynar, saw in humanity a chance to break free from imperial dominance. Trade routes opened, and alliances formed, further bolstering Earth's position. Humanity, once isolated, now stood at the center of a growing coalition. This newfound influence gave Earth the leverage it needed to demand peace talks, though the empires resisted, unwilling to acknowledge what was rapidly becoming undeniable. Humanity was no longer a neutral bystander. The Galactic Council watched these developments with a mix of awe and unease. Their warnings, meant to prevent chaos, had only delayed it. Humanity's rise had been inevitable, a fact the Council had understood but failed to convey. Their records spoke of other species that had risen too quickly, disrupting galactic order before ascending to godlike status or vanishing entirely. Humanity bore all the hallmarks of such a species, and the Council feared that history might repeat itself. As pressure mounted, the KRYTH and Zynar were forced to confront a grim reality. Their centuries-long Cold War had drained their resources and left them vulnerable. Humanity, with its unconventional tactics and growing alliances, posed a threat neither empire could afford to ignore. Yet neither could defeat Earth without risking mutual annihilation. Reluctantly, both empires agreed to negotiate, though they did so with the intent of preserving their dominance rather than securing lasting peace. The negotiations, held in a neutral star system under the watchful eyes of the Galactic Council, marked a historic moment. Humanity's representatives, once dismissed as insignificant, now sat as equals at the table. The KRYTH demanded Earth's demilitarization, citing the threat their hybrid technology posed to galactic stability. The Zynar, more subtle, proposed an alliance, thinly veiling their desire to absorb humanity into their collective. Humanity, however, came with demands of their own: recognition of Earth's sovereignty, the withdrawal of all alien influence, and an end to the Cold War that had destabilized the galaxy. The talks were tense, with neither empire willing to concede. Humanity's representatives, led by a coalition of diplomats and military strategists, refused to back down. They presented evidence of the KRYTH and Zynar's manipulations, exposing their efforts to control Earth. This transparency won them the support of the Galactic Council, which began to shift its stance. What had once been a warning against human involvement now became tacit approval of their right to defend themselves. The breakthrough came not through words but action. During the negotiations, a KRYTH faction attempted a last-ditch effort to sabotage the talks, deploying a stealth fleet to strike at Earth's defenses. Humanity, forewarned by Prometheus, intercepted the fleet before it could reach its target. The resulting battle was swift and decisive, a demonstration of Earth's capability to defend itself against even the most advanced threats. This display of strength forced the KRYTH to reconsider their position, while the Zynar, ever pragmatic, began to see the benefits of a genuine alliance. The final agreement, brokered with the Council's oversight, marked the end of humanity's neutrality. Earth was officially recognized as a sovereign power, its alliances legitimized. The KRYTH and Zynar, though weakened, agreed to a truce, ending their centuries-long conflict. Humanity, now a member of the Galactic Council, held a position of influence that few had anticipated. The story did not end there. Humanity's rise had reshaped the galaxy, inspiring other species to challenge the old order. The Galactic Council, once the sole arbiter of peace, now shared its authority with a species that had defied every expectation. Humanity, with its boundless creativity and unyielding determination, stood as a reminder that even the smallest players could change the game. The galaxy, forever altered, braced itself for the new era humanity had ushered in.